Hey guys, welcome to a review of Ant-Man, the latest Marvel movie. I, I'm gonna say is I really liked it. It's probably in my top five Marvel movies. In fact, maybe it's just because I haven't seen the other Marvel movies in a while, so I don't remember them that well, or I wasn't old enough to really appreciate them. But I feel like the past five Marvel movies that have come out, Captain America 2, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, and is that is that the I guess those four are probably my four favorites. Not in that order. That's in the order they came out. I'd say in order it's probably Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, Winter Soldier, and then Ant Man, because Ant Man was really good, funny, a lot of awesome moments. They did a lot of fun, cool stuff with the shrinking and the growing. I wasn't sure how the movie was going to be because I know that the commercials were not that impressive. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, those commercials hooked me right away. But Ant Man, the commercials did not really sell it for me. What sold it for me was that it was a Marvel movie, and Marvel movies have a good track record. And I was I was so it was a relief to go and see it and be like, okay, yeah, this is really good. Also, oh my god, so funny. His little burglaring. They've really started. They really seems like they've gotten better and better at the humor in these Marvel movies. I mean, I know not everybody was a fan of the humor, of the jokes in Age of Ultron, but they're definitely. I like how jokey Age of Ultron was, but it's the jokes are definitely a better fit for this movie because it's on a smaller scale. You've got this one guy, and he's an ex-con. I should explain. The main character, Scott Lang, the Ant Man. Um, he's an ex-con whose daughter. Like, the reason he's an ex-con is he hacked into this rich business website and took money from. He basically did a Robin Hood and gave money to the poor, or took money away from the rich. I don't know, but so he's low on money. He has to pay child support, but he can't because he can't get a job because nobody will hire him. There's this super funny scene where he's working at a Baskin Robbins and then he gets fired, which doesn't sound funny, but it actually was very funny. The whole movie, a lot of the scenario, it doesn't sound like it'd be that funny, but it's just excellent joke delivery with they introduce they introduce a lot of funny side characters. I didn't think Paul Rudd as Scott Lang was that funny. He did a lot of the dry humor, straight man stuff to all the crazy stuff that was going on with the supernatural and or not supernatural, but superhero stuff, which sometimes worked and sometimes I don't know. I think that kind of joke style is only funny to a certain extent. I don't know. I've seen that kind of humor done better in other movies, but what he lacked in humor was made up for with all the funny side characters. Like the guy who fires him from the Baskin Robbins is hilarious, and he's only on for a minute. And all his he has this group that he's living with, who I guess pay his bills or something. I don't know. They're all these kind of ex-cons. They are so funny. They've got the gang leader. They've got the leader, who's kind of this Mexican dude. He's got a He's played by some guy named Michael Pena. I've never seen him before now, but now I want to see more of him because he was super funny. And uh, and then there's this other guy with kind of a Russian accent. He's really weird. And then there's the third guy. I don't know. I don't know how to describe these characters, but it's just they're with his little thief. But in the movie's kind of a heist movie because what happens is Hank Pym, the former Ant Man, recruits Scott Lang because his former Hank Pym's former friend and mentoree Damien Cross or whatever I think his name was, who runs Pym's company now. He's like trying to take the Ant-Man formula and market it to people and sell it to like governments and stuff, and it's too dangerous. So Hank Pym needs to stop it. So he gets Scott Lang to become the new Ant-Man because he's too old. He's like 60 or 70 or something, and they have to like break into the Pym Industries or whatever and steal the steal steal the formula. They gotta pull Plankton, but no, the villain's kind of generic. Is Damien Cross? It falls under. There's two types of Marvel villains. I mean, Ultron was. There's two main types of Marvel villains: the monstrous dude and the white guy in a suit, corrupt businessman character. This guy falls under the second category. But I think it's a lot better done than the ones in, say, the Iron Man movies. Because in all the Iron Man movies, the villains there's a big tough villain, but he's usually led by and in the Iron Man movies, the corrupt businessman characters get progressively more and more dumb and like unneeded. But this movie, like, there's a reason for him being the way that he is. I don't want to talk about it because it's kind of spoiler territory, but there's a reason for him doing this more than just I'm a corrupt businessman and I want to make money. Like, there's kind of a backstory that actually kind of makes me want to see. It makes me want to see a Hank Pym Ant-Man movie set in like the 80s or something. That would be cool. But because they do a lot of backstory with him, and they have to kind of explain a lot, which is one thing I don't like, because of the fact that we have this older former Ant-Man, and they have to kind of explain his story basically. But they don't do a lot of show. Well, they show it, but there's a lot of like exposition with him, which I kind of don't like. But it's not so much that it's overbearing. But then they have to heist. It's a heist movie, and I like heist movies. Well, partially, I mean, it's kind of it's enough of a heist movie that it's got like in heist movies. There's always the team of heisters, and this movie has the team because Scott Lang he gets his buddies from the apartment to help him with the heist, and that's where they get really funny because they're helping, but everything they do is like kind of goofy and like because they're not that good at being criminals, so they kind of like mess up a lot. And is it the one? And there's these two cop characters, one of which is the daughter, Scott Lang's daughter's stepdad. He's a cop, and they're like these two cops, and him and this other cop are like going through the whole like experience, and they see all the crazy stuff. It's just funny to watch their reactions to it. But several times they go after Hank Pym because they've managed to connect him to Scott Lang, who actually broke out of prison again to come help them, which is a different thing. They get to him and they like tackle him to the ground, and then they see the other heist dudes, and they go chase after them, and then I don't remember what happened, but something crazy happened, and then they leave the two heist dudes that they caught and have on the ground tied up and just go running off, leaving the heist dudes to escape. And they do that like twice. They do it with Hank Pym, and then they do it with those guys, and I'm like, there are two of you. Why can't one of you stay? Minor nitpicks. It goes to show you how good the movie was. That's the best kind of That's the kind of criticisms I can make out of it. But I think I've talked about all I wanted to talk about. Really funny. Comic relief is really good. When comedy relief is good, it's awesome. When comedy relief is bad, it's bad. But comedy relief in this movie is really good. The scale is smaller, so the comedy fits. Not that it didn't fit in Age of Ultron, but it definitely fits better in this movie. It's got the heist movie elements, which I love. The fight scene at the end is epic. I'm not going to talk about it because because I want people to be able to experience it blind, per se. I mean, like, I want people to be able to experience it spoiler free, so I'm not going to talk about it. And they do a good job of making Scott Lang like you understand that he wants to see his daughter and that he doesn't really want to do crime, but he kind of gets roped into it a lot. But now he's good. But then in the end, like now he's gonna do good as the Ant-Man. The Ant-Man. And they kind of set up for the event. They kind of set up the Avengers later with, like, there's a scene at the end where basically it's this comedy scene. I'm not gonna spoil the joke. They kind of reuse like a joke from earlier, but they do it and it's still fun. They do it in a funny way, and it connects. There's a scene where Hank Pym crosses, or not Hank Pym, Scott Lang, the Ant-Man. He crosses paths with like one of the Avengers in training, and they fight, and Ant-Man manages to escape. But like in the end of the movie, they kind of set it up with like that Avenger in training needs somebody for a mission or something, and he's thinking about the guy that was shrinking and growing when he was fighting him earlier. So they're kind of setting up the Ant-Man to be part of the Avengers, which is funny because earlier in the movie, Hank Pym is telling Scott Lang his plan, and Scott Lang's like, why don't we just call the Avengers? And Hank Pym says he doesn't want the technology in the hands of the Avengers, but now it is going to be in the hands of the Avengers, but whatever, who cares? Yeah, very good. I'd recommend you go see it if you haven't already. Definitely go see it instead of Jurassic World or I keep wanting to say Terminator, or I guess Fantastic. I haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, but the hype is quickly diminishing. I'm not even sure if I'm going to see it, to be honest. But that's a good movie. I'm rambling. Good movie. Arrivederci.